Welcome to Old Man Sports Talk. I'm your host, Old Man Nate, and tonight we're going to talk about Old Man Nate's top 10 NBA players of all time. So, if you haven't already, go ahead and take your time and like and subscribe and ring the bell so that way you get notifications on shows like this where we do our all-time greatest players or all-time greatest games or whatever we decide to do. So yeah, go ahead and like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you get all the notifications when we don't go live or when we drop videos. Also, at this time, if you haven't already, take your time to go to oldmancoffee.shop, get you a tumbler, or get you some coffee, or get you a t-shirt. Okay, we have 47 different flavors of coffee. We have them in the ground coffee, and we also have them in the K cup. Also, if you're logging in, please go ahead and leave your name so I can give you a shout out. Appreciate everybody that is joining the show tonight. So as I said, opening the show, tonight's show is my top 10 NBA players of all time. And let me explain before we get into who they are. Just explain on it how I did it, how I decided who is Old Man Nate's top 10. So, first of all, if you just go on there and Google NBA top 10 players or NBA top 20 players or top 50, whatever, there's lists all over the internet. Okay. And so, and most of them, honestly, are very similar. And I'm sure that mine is going to be similar to not only some of those, but also to maybe your top 10 players of all time. And there's going to be some differences. Okay. I already know that for a fact. There's going to be some differences. But I took a list of the top 20 players, and then I looked at their career average of points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, and blocks per game. I wrote those all down, or put them on a spreadsheet actually, and then I ranked them. Okay, so if they were the high, if their career average of points per game was the highest, I ranked them 1 through 20, and then for each category, like I said, for points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, and blocks per game. And if they were the number 1 ranking, then they got 20 points. If they was the number 20 ranking, they got 1 point in each category. I also did that for the playoffs. The same thing. Points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, and blocks per game. And I ranked them 1 through 20. And they got from 1 to 20 points in each category. Some other areas they got points at were if they were a Finals MVP. For every Finals MVP, they got a point. If they were an NBA MVP, in other words, they were the MVP for the year, they got a point for every time they won it. If they made all defensive team, they got a point every time they made a team. And if they were defensive player of the year, then they got another point. So not only did they get a point for making all defensive teams, they also got a point for defensive player of the year. I also gave them a point for every time they played in the NBA Finals. Every time they just played in it, they got a point. Every time they won a championship in those NBA Finals, they got a point. And then hey, what's up, Diaz? Good to see you. And then the difference in them was the subtraction of points. So, for instance, LeBron James has played in 10 NBA Finals. He got 10 points. He won 4 NBA championships, so he got 4 more points. So that's 14. And then 10 minus 4 is 6. So then he subtracted 6 points. So he ended up with a total in that category of 8 points. Okay. So just to explain that a little bit, I also, out of those same 20, I ranked them my personal 1 through 20. My favorite player. Not saying when I ranked them that they were better or worse. They were just my favorite players, 1 through 20. And if they were ranked number 1, they got 20 points. If they were ranked number 20, they got 1 point. If there was a tie between players, then the tiebreaker was whichever one I ranked higher of my favorite players. Okay, so that is how I broke down the top 20 or top 10. Again, I took 20, and that 20 was from a website. I'm not going to name the website because I don't get paid to promote them, so I'm not gonna promote them. Okay, but I took them from a website, their top 20 players. So first, I'm going to name the players that did not make Old Man Nate's top 10, but were on the top 20. They were being evaluated in the top 20. Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Oscar Robertson, Steph Curry, Moses Malone, Karl Malone, Dr. J or Julius Erving, Jerry West, Kevin Garnett, and Dirk Nowitzki. So those 10 players were just on the outside looking in. And I didn't rank 11 through 20, so I'm not saying that was my 11 through 20 at all. They were just in the evaluation process, but they didn't make the cut. So now we're going to start off with number 10. Number 10 is Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson, he averaged 19.5 points per game, 7.2 rebounds, and 11.2 assists. He is, when it comes to assists per game in regular season, he's number one. He's number one in the NBA. I'm not saying he has a total assist more than anybody. I'm not saying that. But when it comes to assists per game, he is number one in the NBA of all time at 11.2. Now, the playoffs, and I'm going to tell you, they didn't get additional points for this, but I looked at this a lot. The increase of points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, and blocks per game did it increase when they got to the playoffs? Because to me, that's when you expand your game. That's when you elevate your game. And Magic, his points per game are about the same at 19.5. Rebounds per game, 7.7. And his assist even went up higher. Remember, it was 11.2. Went up an assist per game at 12.3. So that's pretty impressive for Magic. He also he was a regular season MVP 3 times. He made the all defensive team. No, he didn't. He did not. He never made the all defensive team. He obviously never made defensive player of the year. Okay, so he was the regular season MVP 3 times, and he was the Finals MVP, I believe, twice. Let me look here. No, he was Finals MVP 3 times. He played in 9 NBA Finals appearances, and he won it 5 times. That's pretty impressive. So Magic Johnson is going to start my list out at number 10. Number 9, and some of y'all are going to disagree with this. And honestly, if I would have just done it off the top of my head, I would have ranked this guy higher. But when it comes to the stats and everything, it didn't quite break down as good as I thought it would for him. And number 9 is Kobe Bryant. So Kobe Bryant, I'm not done yet, Reek. I'm not done, Diaz. I'm only at number 9. Got to go all. Got to go. I'm working backward from 10 to 1. So just hang on. Be patient with me. We're gonna get you there. Okay. We're gonna get you to see who's number one is here in a little bit. All right. So Kobe Bryant, he averaged 25 points a game, 5.2 rebounds a game, and 4.7 assists per game. He also averaged zero point 0.5 blocks per game. Okay, in the regular season. And 25 sounds really good, but out of those top 20 that I mentioned, he's only ranked seventh in top 20. Okay, um, so he's not he's not as up there. I mean, I've got him ranked number 9, right? He's ranked seventh in points per game. Okay, now his playoff, like I say, he's averaging 25 points a game. In the playoff, he was about the same, 25.6, rebounds per game 5.1, assists per game 4.7, and block per game 0.7. Everything, he didn't really elevate his game as much as everybody thought he did. Okay, it was about the same from the regular season to the playoffs. And one reason I'll say that for him is because he's just so intense every time he touched the court. It didn't matter that it was a playoff game for him. If it was a regular season game, he's still playing just as hard as he would in the playoffs. So it's why you don't see that big jump as you will with some other players. Okay, he appeared in seven. He played in 7 NBA finals, and he won 5 of them. That's pretty freaking impressive right there. So um, he's tied with Magic on rings, but he's not the most. He hasn't won the most. I'll just say that right there. We'll get to the most here in a minute. He also though he he was a regular season MVP only one time, and but he made all defensive team 12 times. So that's pretty impressive right there. He never won defensive player of the year, but um, he had an impressive career. But I got him ranked as number 9. Number 8, coming in here at number 8 is Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan for the San Antonio Spurs. He played 20 years, believe it or not. His average points per game though was only 19 points a game, but his rebounds was 10.8, and here's a and or 3 assists per game. Blocks though 2.2. Very impressive on the defensive end he was. So um, let me get over here. In the playoffs, though, he did increase. Remember, we talked about elevating your game. He went from 19 to 20.6 in the playoffs. Re, uh, rebounds, rebounds per game, he went up to 11.4. Again, he's elevating his game from 10 to 11. And then assist is that stayed the same at 3. Okay. Blocks a little bit higher from 2.2, not much, but 2.3. So he won the regular season MVP 2 times. He made the all defensive team 15 times. That's pretty impressive. Now, and he played 20 seasons. So out of 20 seasons, he made all defensive team 15 times. That's outstanding. Not too many players can put that by their name. So at number 8, I got Tim Duncan. Number 7, this one is going to surprise some people. And honestly, it surprised me. But what the stats don't lie, and he's got a really good chance because he's still playing. He's got a really good chance to move on up the board. And number 7, we got Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant in his 14th season so far is averaging 27.3 points per game. Right now, in his average, that puts him at fourth in NBA for average of points per game. Pretty impressive. Here's another thing though, or his rebounds are at 7.1. I know he's tall, he's like 6'11", but still 7.1. And then his assists at 4.3. Hey, what's up, Vic? Blocks per game, 1.1. As tall as he is, I know he's not a center, but as tall as he is, I'd like to see that increase a little bit. I'd like to see it get around the 2 range. He's going to have to get a lot of blocks, though, for that to happen as late as he is in his career. So, his finals appearances. He's already made it 4 times to the finals. Okay. He made it once with OKC, and he made it twice with Golden State, or 3 times. Might be 3 times. He's got 2 championships. I know both of those are with Golden State. So I think it is 3 times, but one of them he didn't even he was hurt, so he didn't get like he was hurt. He didn't even play. He's got 2 Finals MVPs though, so that helped him out right there with points. Now, playoff points per game. We talked about elevating your game. Remember, his regular season was 27.3. He averaged at 2 more points a game in the playoffs, up to 29.4. So he takes it to another notch. Something I like a lot with players. His rebounds per game increased a little bit more, up to 7.8. His assists about the same at 4.2, and his blocks about the same at 1.2. Now, he won regular season MVP 1 time when he was with Oklahoma City. Here's the thing though, he has never made all defensive team. So in order for him to get over the hump and to get in the top 5, he's going to have to make some all defensive teams in order to make my top 5. So we got Kevin Durant at number 7. Now here, I'm going to tell you right now, this guy's really going to surprise everybody. Going to be like, what? No way. Because I don't think there's any listing that has him this high. But again, when you break down the stats can't lie to people, man. When people are out here averaging these type of points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, winning championships, making all NBA teams, making NBA Finals MVPs, all defensive teams, you got to give them credit where it's due. If you're not considering all that, then you're shortchanging the players. Okay, this player actually played 19 seasons in the NBA. I didn't realize he played that long. But number 6 is Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. He averaged 21.8 points per game, 11.1 rebounds per game, 2.5 assists per game, and 3.1 blocks per game. Pretty impressive stuff right there for Hakeem. That's a regular season. Now, we talked about elevating your game, man. This guy went from 21 points a game in the regular season to 25.9 in the playoffs. More than 4 points a game more. I believe that's going to be the highest on our list, the increase. So that's why you see him in the top 6. His rebounds per game, 11.2, and his assists, 3.2, blocks, 3.3. That stayed around the same. Okay. Now he played Where we at? We lost him. There we go. Okay. So he played in 3 NBA finals, winning 2, and he also got the MVP in both those. So 2 NBA finals MVPs, 2 NBA championships. The regular season MVP. He only had 1 regular season MVP. He made the all defensive team 9 times out of 19 seasons. And he was defensive player of the year twice. He's the only player on this list to win defensive player of the year more than once. So Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon comes in at number 6. So now we're in our top 5. Number 5 is my favorite player of all time, Larry Bird. Larry Bird and does not get the credit he deserves. If you ever watch videos on him playing and you watch or listen to his peers talk about him, they will tell you, a lot of people, think, a lot of people in that era consider Michael Jordan the best player of all time. But if you listen to his peers talk, including Michael Jordan's, a lot of them will say Larry Bird was the best player to ever lace up the sneakers. Because it wasn't just, he was a slow white guy that couldn't jump, but his IQ of the game of basketball was far above anybody else that was on the court. And he's also, now he has not hit the most game-winning shots. LeBron James has done that, but he has the highest percentage of game-winning shots. And it's not even close. It is not even close. So when, in other words, I don't know exactly how many he shot. I know he's hit 24. LeBron James, I believe, hit 26. Okay, and I don't know how many he shot, but the percentage of shots he shot is way higher than anybody else. Not second place is not even close to him. So he's one of the best shooters of all time. He doesn't get the credit, and even though the 3-point line was around, I believe his whole career, he was not. He didn't shoot a lot of 3-pointers. He didn't back then. The 3-point shot was not utilized like it is today, even though it was around. But I'll tell you what, he's got one of the all-time best 3-point contest wins of all time. And the saying goes that he walked into the locker room, and back then you wore your team's warm-ups, you wore your team's jersey. There was no all-star jerseys or anything like that. Not for, and it's, I think it's the same thing on 3-point contest also right now. But he walked in with his warm-ups, walked in the locker room and said, "Hey, who's getting second place tonight?" And then he went out there, didn't even take his warm-up top off, and won it easy. I forget what year that was, but it's pretty impressive. You ain't gonna see that today. You're not gonna see that today. But let's look at. By the way, Larry Bird only played 13 seasons. He had the last 5 years he could barely even freaking walk because of his back. And I'm saying that because he did all of that with a very bad back, and the stats I'm going to put up he did with a bad back. And so that's another reason why he, in my opinion, he don't get the credit he deserves. He's not going to be on the list as the NBA all-time best player, but he's in the top 5, even with everything I've named. And if he doesn't get injured, he probably does become the number 1 guy. But he averaged 24.3 points a game. He averaged 10 rebounds and 6.3 assists, 0.8 blocks. Okay. Now, in the playoffs, his points average went down just a little bit at 23.8, but his rebounds and his assists went up about the same difference. In the points game went down. So he went up to 10.3, and his playoff assist went up to 6.5. So um, he didn't elevate his game, but he's another player, like I mentioned with Kobe Bryant, where he just played as hard as he could every time he stepped on the court. Now, he appeared in 5 NBA finals, winning 3 of them and winning 2 NBA finals MVPs. I believe the other one that he didn't win was won by Larry Parrish. I mean, not Robert Parrish, Larry Parrish. Robert Parrish. I didn't look that up, but that's just off the top of my head. I'm thinking that's who won it. Regular season MVP, he won it 3 times, and I might add, he won it 3 years in a row. He was all defensive team 3 times, and he never won Defensive Player of the Year. So for a slow white guy, he still made all defensive team 3 times. Again, that's because of his IQ. It's not because of his ability. It's because of his IQ. All right. See, Tanish doesn't like KD. She called him K Snake. So we got 4 left. Number 4 is Shaquille O'Neal. He played 19 seasons, and he was all over the league. But he was drafted by Orlando. He won championships with the Lakers, and then towards the end of his career, he played on several different teams. But so his points per game. I mean, we all know about. Matter of fact, Shaq changed the game with how the goals, how strong they're made now. He tore the whole goal system down. I'm not talking about the backboard, breaking the backboard. People have done that, but that hydraulic system, he tore that down. Not too many. I don't think nobody else has ever done that. Tore down the hydraulic system, and he did it on a dunk. So he changed. He made him go back and reinforce the goals with a different hydraulic or whatever they got on there. I don't know. I'm not, not in depth on the type of goal, what they use on the goals and stuff that make them go up and down. But anyways, he broke one, and it changed everything. So he averaged 23.7 points per game, 10.9 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and 2.3 blocks per game in the regular season. Now, in the playoffs, 24.3, 11.6, so elevating there, and 2.7 assists, and his blocks, let me get back over here, 2.1. So his rebounds, he elevated. His points, he elevated just a little bit on his points. Now, he appeared in 6 NBA finals, winning 4 of them, and he won 3 finals MVPs. In the regular season, he only got 1 season MVP. He made the all defensive team, though, 3 times. So coming in at number 4 is Shaquille O'Neal. So we're down to 3 players. Who do you think's in the top 3? Anybody want to type in who they think their top 3 is right now? Who I haven't named? I'll give you a couple seconds to throw that in there. And while I do that, if you haven't already, please take the time to like, subscribe, and comment. And ring the bell so that way you get notifications when we do these shows or when I drop video. This one will be edited into a video also. But so if you miss it, you'll get to see it. Also, if you haven't already, take the time to go to oldmancoffee.shop and get you some coffee. or get you a t-shirt or a tumbler. All right, so nobody nobody's gonna leave me any of their top three. So we're going to go ahead and drop number three. Number three is oh my bad. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He played 20 seasons. Vic says bronze at number one. Well, we'll find out. We're not at number one yet. We got he's still on the list. He's possible, but we'll see if he's number one. So number number three is Kareem. He averaged 24.6 points per game, 11.2 rebounds per game, 3.6 assists, and 2.6 blocks per game in the regular season. Pretty impressive numbers right there. Now, his playoff points per game was about the same. Went from 24.6 to 24.3. Rebounds, though, dropped just a little bit to 10.5 in the playoffs. His assists, I believe, moved up a little bit to 3.2, and his blocks were about the same at 2.4. His finals appearance, this guy, look at this. He appeared in 20 years, he appeared in 10 NBA finals. That means every other year he was in his career, he was in NBA finals. He won 6 of them. 6 of the 10 he won. He was the MVP, though, only twice. Now, that might sound bad, but we already mentioned Magic Johnson was who won three of the so they won 5 championships together. Okay. And because he won one other one with Milwaukee, Kareem did. But they won 5 NBA championships together. And so Magic was the MVP 3 times. Kareem was the MVP twice. But I believe he was only the MVP of the Lakers once. And he was MVP with the Bucks once. So that leaves there was somebody else out there on that squad. Could have been James Worthy. I don't know off the top of my head. Could have been I don't know. There's a few others it could have been, but yeah. But that's still pretty impressive what he did. Okay. Now, in the regular season, he won 6 MVPs. He made the all defensive team 11 out of 20 seasons. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar comes in at 20, or I'm sorry, at number 3 with in his 20th season. Now we're down to 2. Vic is saying bronze at number 1. Nobody else has left any comments. The number 2 player on Old Man Nate's top 10 NBA players of all time is LeBron James. LeBron James comes in at number 2. He's got 19 seasons in the NBA. I think this is his 20th season he's playing right now. His points per game is 27.2. His rebounds per game is 9. His assists per game is 7.1, and his blocks per game is 1 block per game. Now, we talked about elevating your game. How much does he elevate his game in the playoffs? So his points per game went from 27.2 to 28.5 in the playoffs. So he averaged a little over 1 point per game. His rebounds per game stayed the same at 9, and his assists per game stayed the same at 7.1. And along with his, so that all stayed the same. Now, he's appeared in Not in 19 years, he's played in 10 finals appearances. Very impressive. He's won 4 championships. So 4 out of 10. That's not really good. But when he has won it, he has been the finals MVP all 4 years. Now let's look what else he's done. Regular season. He's got 4 regular season MVPs. He's got 6 all defensive teams. So all defensive, he's not that great. In fact, he hasn't won. He hasn't been on all defensive in a few years. I don't believe, but he's getting older. You don't expect. Usually they start dwindling down. So, anyways, number 2 is LeBron James. I got some haters already. All right. So again, the stats don't lie. Number 1 on Old Man Nate's top 10 NBA players of all time is none other than Michael Jordan. Let's take a look at his stats. He only played 15 seasons. Now, he took a break. We only played 15 seasons. Also, I might add, Michael, and this is also for Kareem. Kareem had to play. That's the way times have changed, right? LeBron James could come into the NBA straight out of high school, and he did. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, on the other hand, he couldn't come in the NBA until he graduated college. And then even then, like his freshman year in college, freshmen weren't allowed to play. So he only played 3 years in college, won 3 championships, and moved on into the NBA. Then Michael Jordan, he played 3 years in the college. Now, a freshman could play back then. In fact, we all know his freshman year at North Carolina, he hit the game-winning shot to put for North Carolina to beat Georgetown in the NBA or in the college basketball championship. But so he only played 15 years in the NBA. Again, he at least got a later start, and then he took a break for baseball. But his stats are what separates him from LeBron James or the rest of them. Points per game. He's the only, well, Wilt Chamberlain also did average the same amount as Michael Jordan, but he didn't make our top 10 list. All right. But Michael Jordan is the only player on this list to average 30 points a game as a career in a regular season. He averaged 30.1. Rebounds per game, 6.2. Assists per game, 5.3. And then he averaged 0.8 blocks per game. Now, let's talk about, remember, what I've been harping on the whole show is elevating your game. So come playoff time, Michael Jordan elevated his game. LeBron elevated it, but not to the extent as Michael did throughout his career. Okay? So regular season, points per game, Michael Jordan averaged 30.1 points per game. Playoff points per game throughout his career, Michael Jordan averaged 33.4 points a game. He elevated another 3 points per game. Rebounds, they was about the same. Went from 6.2 to 6.4. Assist, again, about the same. 5.3 to 5.7. And blocks, about the same. From 0.8 to 0.9. But it didn't decrease at all. It increased at least a little bit. Now, how many finals appearances did Michael Jordan appear in? 6. How many NBA championships did Michael Jordan win? 6. And how many finals MVP did Michael Jordan win? 6. That right there slams the door shut. But also, how many regular season MVPs does Michael Jordan have? 5. How many all defensive teams does Michael Jordan have? 9. And how many Defensive Player of the Years does Michael Jordan have? 1. Now, if you notice, I only named 3 people on this top 10 list. Actually, I only named 2. One other person made Defensive Player of the Year, didn't make the top 10 list. So only 2 players on this list made Defensive Player of the Year. And one of them won it twice. And that was Hakeem the Dream, and Michael Jordan won it once. So all of those put Michael Jordan above LeBron James. He has more championships. He has more. He don't have as many finals appearances, but he does have more championships. He has more finals MVPs. He has more regular season MVPs. He has more all defensive teams, and he has more Defensive Player of the Years. So that right there, case closed. Why Michael Jordan is Old Man Nate's all-time player of all time. Hey, let me hear your feedback. Let me hear what you got to say. I know there are already some haters out there telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's good. I like him. I love you guys. All right, good or bad, it don't matter to me. So appreciate all you guys' feedback. Keep it up. I appreciate all you guys watching the show. Keep it up. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you get future notifications. Go to oldmancoffee.shop and get you some merch. We got the t-shirts, we got the tumblers, we got the coffee. Hey, and we got more coming. So if it says it's sold out, don't worry, we got more coming. Okay, it'll be here this week. All right. So, anyways, appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.